The High Line is an abandoned elevated freight rail line transformed into a public park on Manhattan's west side. It is like a jade belt hanging high above the streets and passing along the city's many buildings, providing a unique perspective of the city of New York. An exceptional sculpture stands in the middle of the road at the south entry of the High Line. The existing track of the elevated railroad has been restored and exposes the layered construction of the landscape above. There are many steel columns under the elevated railroad. It is a symbol of the industrial era, simplicity, usefulness, and strength. The High Line perfectly continues the history of the elevated railroad and respects the main characters of the railroad itself, its uniqueness and functionality. Entering the High Line, you enter the linear, mobile, and vigorous world of the railroad. The road is paved with linear concrete planks, with cantilevered benches growing out of the pavement, and a long radial bench stretching across one block. Everywhere, you can see the rail tracks. An unlimited forward space is made to appear as extended space in the limited width. Of course, the railroad is the unchanging subject of the High Line. The rails lay on the ground, or stand out from the ground, or hide under the bushes, or flicker in the grasses, and the steel frames still stand in place. Oh, what's this? It's the device that was used to pull the railroad switches. These devices and equipment of the railroad have become characteristic landscapes in the High Line. Inspired by the plant life that grew on the elevated railroad when the trains stopped running, the designers filled the botanical landscape with native wild grasses and flowers. They present the wild beauty of the original plants. The vitality and the resilience of these wild plants reduces the need for irrigation, fertilization, and pesticides. A rich habitat for insects and birds is created. The High Line is full of vigor in all seasons. The High Line's very essence is born out of the desire to preserve and recycle. Recycled materials are used, including reclaimed wood, recycled rails and frames, and aggregate for precast concrete planks. The linear concrete planks with open joints and specially tapered edges and seams permit rainwater to flow into planting beds. The plants can grow through the seams. Over 80% of the water that falls on the High Line stays in the High Line. It minimizes any irrigation requirements. The original rails are cleverly used to place the specially designed wide deck chairs. You can overlook the Hudson River from here. The High Line extends for more than 20 blocks. At various points, the viewing lookouts on the walkway create an opportunity to enjoy a view of the city beyond and through different visual angles. A metal walkway rises 8 feet above the High Line and becomes the Woodland Flyover. The site of the abandoned elevated railroad reappears beyond the Woodland Flyover. The visitors are able to touch the canopies of sumac and magnolia closely. The pathway slowly rises above an area where the concrete deck has been removed, showcasing the existing steel frames. A viewing spur hovers above this cutout, creating a surreal moment when visitors peer down through the structure to the 21st century's traffic. In another place, the concrete decks are also removed, but the steel frames are covered with a thick rubber safety coating and transformed into a unique play area for kids. The High Line has several elevators, so the aged and handicapped can enjoy easy access. Along the High Line, visitors can see something of a museum of buildings, with various buildings competing in terms of beauty and uniqueness, and which includes some of the most expensive real estate in New York City. When you stroll along the High Line, you realize the skyscrapers on both sides are at your fingertips. You are perhaps standing outside of the windows of a strange house, but you are separated by a layer of dense bushes so that you feel far away from the hustle and bustle of the city and find peacefulness for just a little while. The seating rows are used for a range of activities, including impromptu performances, family picnics, art classes, and sunbathing. The High Line presents a wide array of artwork, including exhibitions, performances, and video programs, thus becoming an active cultural center of New York City. The charm of the High Line is that it is a paradise in the noisy city. Tourists stop at the viewing spurs to watch the street scenes, to chat or pass the time on the benches, to take a nap on the deck chairs or on the lawns, and to eat meals leisurely in the shade of the trees. The High Line is marked by relaxation, distraction, and contemplation. Tourists can spend a rare, soothing, and relaxing time in the big city. The High Line has driven the development of commerce and tourism all around. New building permits have multiplied, land prices have risen, population growth has increased, thus bringing a lot of investment and tens of thousands of new job opportunities. The High Line has helped to create one of the fastest growing and most vibrant neighborhoods in New York City. The north section of the High Line becomes a narrow path wrapping around the West Side rail yards. The visitors can see a majestic appearance in the array of trains. The elevated railroad is little by little lowered to meet the ground. At the north exit of the High Line, the rails silently dive underground and disappear into the grasses. The glorious industrial age and the glorious train age have passed. The High Line is not just a journey, it's a history. The beauty of the High Line is everlastingly forgettable.